Module 1, Unit 4, Managing an OS. In this unit, our objective is, excuse me, to use a GUI and a command line management interface in order to configure an operating system. These are the things we will learn, and we will be able to explain the importance of access control features and learn how to configure user accounts. Those are the tools that we will be exploring for this unit. So, to get started with management interfaces. What are these? Maybe some of you already seen this, but these are interfaces that can be found in the control panel or Windows settings, and you can launch control management or registry editor. These are the management interfaces that you can access. We also call it as management consoles. Like in this example, di ba, meron tayong computer management. Ito yung default console that you can launch, where in this computer management, you have the system tools readily available. For example, for scheduling a task. Ito yung tinatawag na you're running a program or executing a function a certain time of the day. Um, these are the things that you do regularly every day instead of doing it manually every day, the same thing. Pwede mo gawin dito. And then sa event viewer, what you can do here is to review the activities ng computer, from application to system to auditing credentials and so on. And then this is also where you can configure to share folders. And this is where you can also manage the users assigned and configured on the station. And you can also launch the performance monitoring management, performance of a computer or system health. This is what you launch. And then on the same computer management, you can do the device manager settings, like for example, peripherals connected to your computer. You need to manage those. You need to enable, disable, things like that. You can explore from there, from this tool. And then you can access like a storage for this management, for managing the size and capacity when you are making logical drives, or subdividing a physical drive to logical drives. And you can also access the services and applications through this management interface, computer management. And this kind management interfaces, these are the things na pwede mong custom build. You can just select whatever tools that you want to access. It rarely happens. Rarely does that, not unless you are the IT person itself and you need to perform a routine check or routine what is this, preventive maintenance, and you have 100 computers to work on. So instead of doing the same thing, when you launch a tool, you can customize something for a particular uh, activity that you want to access. And then meron din tinatawag na registry editor. When you launch it, just type in regedit, and this is the window that we launch. This is for advanced user that you can modify at configuration level. You can configure the applications, the user, no, even the local machine at registry level. When you say registry level, these are the files or configurations that the operating system read. And it's not a readable format that everyone can understand. May mga binary code, may mga binary format dyan. But for this case of discussion, these are the things that will that you need to know, that will lead you to manage your computer, because may mga configuration that you can do only at registry editor level. Then meron ding management interfaces na tinatawag na command prompt or PowerShell. Ito yung makikita nyo later on na You don't have a visual idea what it's like unless na you are aware of what you are doing. Ito yung tinatawag na command prompt and PowerShell. Meron din tinatawag na Linux configuration files for mga Linux distribution of operating system. Mga network files, user files, the same files for that is common to operating system. You find the same things, Linux configuration files. Only that you don't use the same tools. Take note, you don't use the same tools. These tools that are shown to you can only be found on Windows. On Linux, because Linux is a file, so everything is on CLI or command prompt or PowerShell. You will know that later on in this unit as well. Now, let's expand more on an example of this application or that you use for managing an OS. We call this a task manager. So to launch this, all you have to do is run it. Go to the to the menu, to the start button, and type in taskbar or click run, and then type in task mgr. And this, when you launch it, this is the thing we could see. Merong mga tabs dyan na processes, performance, the same performance that you can see on computer panel, and then application history. These are the tools you use to see the users logged in, users accessing the files, and the details and services. Ito for example, lahat nandyan lahat sa task manager yung mga processes and threads. When you say processes and threads, these are the computer activities. These are the processes that is running and monitored by the operating system and being executed to execute a particular task. So, itong task manager, ito ang ginagamit nyo to monitor kung ano yung mga tasks that is running and to control the processes. May mga ibang indicator din that runs in the background that you can only see on the task manager. This is also the same tool that you use. If, for example, a process represented by an application, for example, Microsoft Edge, ito yung processes indicated sa task manager. If this is somehow not responding, you can right click and manually kill it or manually end yung mga nagahang na application or a browser. Okay, hindi mo ma-close. All of a sudden, nangyayari yun, no? All of a sudden, why it's not responding? I cannot minimize, cannot open. So all you have to do is start over. So this is where you do it. From Task Manager, find Microsoft Edge, right click on it, and end task. That's how you kill. That's how I'm in a running program, non-responding program or a process. Now, sa service management naman, what here is nandito yung application processes associated as a service. For example, kasing application may mga may mga services din. These are computer services that is run by a operating system in the background. Ang application, now you know na when you are launching, for example, yung Adobe, may mga services like ganito, update service or genuine software. These are the services to execute or to run the application normally. So, merong processes and then merong services. And then, as I've said, yung functionality ng application for the OS to run it dito sa meron din tinatawag na services. From this services tab, these are the things that you can do. You can start, you can stop, or configure a service. When you start, makikita nyo to, it is running. So those on the status na blank, it is stopped. So either you can run it when you double click on it, access it, and you can see the things that you can do, like to run, to stop, or assign as user. So those are the things that you can do when it comes to services, because meron mga services that runs only a particular user, and sometimes even it is running, it is not working. And I use this to manually end the service. To manually end the service. And by the way, when you take the exam, and may mga services na dapat i-stop, so if you're doing it online, the proctor will call you to end the service. They will help you as well if, for example, it is taking too much for you to kill a service. But just so you're aware, this is also what you do. It's you're not actually stopping the application, but there are application that is not actually in use, but with services that are still running in the background. That sometimes you need to stop. Especially for in an example I'm saying, if you're taking online test, may mga services na kailangan tanggalin o itigil. This one, the task scheduler, as I was trying to explain earlier, these are the things what you can do that you can automate, for example, to execute a process that you are doing all every day. Like for example, this is an example only from the screenshot is an automatic updates. In some commercial industry, in some companies, they don't allow automatic updates because updates are sometimes, when it comes to security issues concern, those are the things that need to be controlled. Hindi basta-basta na lang ini-install. But for this discussion of what you can do with the task scheduler, this is an example that you can automate a particular task or a particular process. Like may mga time or every day, every year, or by a particular user, those are the things. Actually, to create a task, to create this task, there's how you started. Like for example, create a task. Kung meron ka na mga ibang task sa mga advanced level, they just import a task they already created. Or for example, you created a task from a different station and you're going to do it again on a different station. All you have to do is import that task that you created. Then you can run, you can view, you can edit or disable and export. Ito yung option, and then you can import it on a different station. So, yeah, may mga schedules, and then may mga, it's pretty straightforward that it gives you also an explanation what it is for, and then ano ang trigger, what is the event or activity to run this particular task, and the action you will do when it's triggered, and the conditions to be made for to be executed for each step that is being made. Yan ang task scheduler. And then another management interface that you can use in managing an OS is very important is memory and disk management. As you all know, is a system memory. No, it's volatile, and it is saving only the file while it is running. When you turn off the computer, the contents there is being cleared. System memory yan eh. Then meron din tinatawag na storage or mass storage. Ito yung hard drive. Now, even you turn off your computer, once the file is saved on the hard drive, it's still there. May dalawang klaseng hard drive, di ba? Yung mga yung conventional hard drive or the solid state. Ito yung hard disk na hindi siya optical disk, pero it's a disk with that's running inside internal electronic disk that runs internally. Meron mga spinning disk inside. And then solid state, walang moving parts. It's just a large electronic memory without spinning disk inside of it. So again, you need to manage this. May mga, when you are running a program, when you are saving a file, ito ang ginagamit. These are the one being utilized. So, ano yung mga management interface na ginagamit when it comes to Windows? So, mostly controlled by OS. Ito, for example, you launch again the task manager, and then earlier sa process tab, and then go to performance tab. Dito makikita mo yon. So, the performance tab, ito yung meron kang CPU, memory, disk, and so Ethernet, and so on. So, for the memory, makikita nyo when you highlight this, you can see the memory status. Even in graphical condition, minsan when you hover this, you can see what applications is consuming the memory. So makikita mo dyan kung ilan ang in use and ang ilan ang available. Meron mga tinatawag na in cache and committed. This is the advanced information for IT administrators. But for your information, dito, malalaman mo, even on graphical representation, makikita mo dyan, ito yung status ng iyong memory. It's either overflowing or full or may mga available pa. Makikita mo agad dito, bakit mabagal? Open the test manager, go to performance, and you will see this. You will see this how normal it is. If it is in order for you to be aware, mas maganda i-launch mo to when your computer is running normally. You have a picture, you have an idea what it's like sa performance monitor yung memory in a very fast or normal condition. So this is also, I mean, to detect leaks. When it is, meron kasi tinatawag na memory leak o ibang faults causing the memory to overflow. Yung memory leaks kasi, guys, these are programs that are still in the memory even it is not being used. Kasi when a computer operates, executing files and data, sa memory naglalaro yan. Think of the memory as a working desk and think of the hard drive as your file cabinet. Yung memory, yung desk mo, di ba, nandyan yung programs running, nandyan yung files that you're using, and at the end of the day, pagtapos ka na, kiniklear mo yung table mo para malinis ulit. Pag maraming ginagawa masyado, maraming bagay sa memory on top of your desk, it's hard to work. Hindi ka na makakilos. So that's also the same thing with memory. Pag maraming files open, maraming activities, even lalo na yung mga hindi na ginagamit, it slows down your computer. It slows you down. Makikita mo to, mapupuno yan. So to do that, to go to the process, and for example, like it's the Firefox that's actually causing your computer to be slow, i-kill mo to. Right click and then kill. Just like I demonstrated earlier or explained earlier. Now we also have this information that you need to be aware, tinatawag na virtual memory or page file. Ito yung spaces ginagamit sa hard drive. Aside from the files that is running or stored in a on a RAM or a memory, it is also used on the hard drive. Ang tawag dun is virtual memory or page file. These are active ones that is running, so you can actually do anything of this. You can usually automatic. You don't have to manually do this. It's the operating system doing this. I seldom do this as well, not unless na there's a particular software or when a software is underdeveloped, umaabot sa ganitong level that you need to manage manually in virtual memory, but it's the operating system responsibility. So ito yung na-explain ko na kanina, use the fix this space aside from to supplement RAM para kung medyo limited na yung memory space mo sa RAM, the hard drive, some of the space on the hard drive can be used. Yun ang ginagamit doon is virtual memory. So now let's go to disk management, another tool that you use for managing an operating system. Disk management is, this is where you create the partitions. But first, to launch it, nandun lang din yan sa control panel, o kaya i-right click mo yung drive C and then properties. There you go. These are another management snap-in, that you can create that as a shortcut and launch directly and open this. From here, what you can do is create partitions. You separate the reserve, the logical, and the physical hard drive. Kasi when an operating system is installed, it is not advisable na nilalagay lahat ng operating system and allocate the entire disk drive. It's a best practice na hinahati yung hard drive. Kaya meron tinatawag na partitioning. And one of them is to create a logical drive. And from here, you can see also all the drives installed on your computer, the layout, What kind of hard drive? It's a basic or logical or file system. Meron mga NTFS o FAT system. And then the status and the capacity and the space will tell you, no? The spell kung ilan ang space pa, ilan ang available ba, ilan ang capacity being installed. This is what you use. So you can also, aside from creating partitions, you can also format. When we say format, guys, you are erasing everything on the drive, whether it or any kind of drive. When you format flash drive or the hard drive itself or solid state, when you say format, right click and format, it will erase everything. You do that when you are trying to clear a data, not on the active ones. Actually, it will remind you, the operating system will remind you when you're trying to unaware or carelessly right click and format. But for example, sa flash drive, gusto mong burahin one time outright and you have to make it clean. The best way to do it is to format rather than, open the flash drive and then erase one file at a time. Where actually ang gusto mo is linisin na rin yan and then it's been used publicly, and to be sure na malinis from infection, from virus, you format it. And you can do it in disk management. Now, another interface that been mentioned to you earlier, yung tinatawag na command line interface. Ito yung tinatawag natin na CLI, ito yung non-GUI, and then PowerShell. Ito yung sinasabi natin. So, when you launch this, ito yung process ID. Command X. When you launch this, just type in CMD and this one will open. It depends also kung ikaw you are running it as an administrator. But at any user, what you do here is you type a command, like for example, dir or copy a file, remove a file, create a user. Instead of point and click using the interface, and then you want to run a code, dito ginagawa. Sa advanced level din to, or there are cases kasi na you can do much faster using CLI as long as you know the command. So sa Windows, ang tawag dyan is command prompt or PowerShell, itong sa baba. Ito naman yung shell kasi where you execute the command administratively, instead of there are tasks na more advanced that you can only execute on command line interface. Sa Linux environment, sa Linux OS, ang tawag sa kanya is Bash. It stands for Born Again Shell. They are very good at naming, di ba? It's still a shell, a Linux shell. They call it Bash. So, meron din tinatawag na when you manage an operating system, you need to be aware and knowledgeable about access control and protection. So, when we say access control, it is about users, regulated. That when they log into the computer, when they log in, accessing the networks or copying files, yung mga user na yan, they have their own accounts. May mga restrictions, may mga policies. And then actually may mga access na yung mga account created in the system. Meron pa tinatawag na authentication. Authentication is that when you are validating or confirming that the user is a legit user, is an employee of the company, or is the one an identified user that's being given granted to use the computer or to access the resources like networks and data. So, binibigyan sila ng credentials. When we say credentials, ito yung mga privileges, ito yung mga restrictions that you can do when you log in. Those are the things. So, it is very, you need to be aware that if your account is as an admin, you can do all the things in the computer. Meron pa tinatawag na user account, that you can use the computer in any way that you want, but not to the level of an admin where you can do changes, you can create accounts, you can delete accounts, or you can run some programs that will actually mess up the operating system even. So, kailangan dyan ang access control, not only to regulate the users but also for security reasons. Kaya meron ng cybersecurity eh. Um, those are very active profession. Now, maraming klaseng ano, 'di ba? User accounts. Para to control mo, you need to identify and define the type different accounts that you can create and allow. For example, yung administrator versus user accounts. Administrator, ito yung as I've said earlier, you have all the rights. You can create another account, you can protect a file, you can encrypt a file, you can hide the file, or you can modify all the systems within the operating system. A standard user is just a user that could launch an application or any program to do his particular task para makapagtrabaho siya or he can do his assignment. That's a standard user. He has no access in the same way with an admin to add another user, not unless you're given that privileges, or to delete a file, not unless you are allowed to delete a file, and you're only allowed to copy, to read, to write, but not to delete. You can do that. So meron mga tinatawag na list privilege. List privilege in a sense just the basic credentials, basic rights and permissions, yun lang. Yun lang kailangan mong i-grant. Yun lang dapat ang nakikreate. Yun ang ginagawa sa, when you manage an account, and then account control. When you have created account, you need to control the access. For example, creating an administrator account. Not everyone, not user account, should have the same level with administrator. It's messy. Everyone, may accidentally delete a file, or maybe something like being naughty, changing the background or uninstalling a file or actually installing an unauthorized software. Everyone can do that if you are an administrator. So kailangan may mga explicit authorization that allows a particular user, even at administrator level, to perform a particular task. So you need to be aware. May mga account types. It's important. Just remember, as an administrator or just as a user. So, how do you create accounts? You can do it either directly sa system settings or sa control panel. Remember, yung account settings, there's how you do it. So, sa Microsoft, meron dyan tinatawag na local accounts. You have to create a password. And then, in advanced level, you can also assign a picture. And then from this tool, for example, you can actually assign whether the password that never expires or that can be changed when they log in. And then when they are locked, you can also lock the account. Temporary lock. We don't delete. For example, nasa bakasyon, nobody has to access it. And then, so, pwede mong temporary lock lang. When you create one, it's very straightforward. It will guide you. Put the name, email, and then click next and follow each instruction. You'll be fine. So local users and groups snap in. You computer management console, you create that, and then you go to local users and groups. There where you create a user, and there where you can also assign a particular account control. So in this unit, it is recommended that you practice about the management interfaces in managing an OS. So those management interfaces that's been introduced to you, remember, di ba, computer management, the command interface, command prompt, or the PowerShell, the task manager. Explore those, that's fine. If it is a lab, just remember what you do, or create a test workstation, and then navigate and explore those management interfaces para masiguradong wala kang masisira sa computer na ginagamit mo mismo. And then you try to create an account, accounts with admin level, that is on the same level with the default administrator or just another user. You can do that as well. These are the recommended activity in order for you to be more familiar in managing an operating system. So in this unit, we review I mean, we learn about the GUI interfaces and command line management interfaces to configure an operating system in order to manage an operating system. And we also covered the importance of the access control features and the user accounts configuration, creating an admin or user, those privileges. We covered all of those. So I hope this has been informative to you. See you on the next unit.